Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Xeno Files. My name is Chris Evans, and on tonight's episode, we're going to be investigating this non-human intelligence, these plasmoids, these orbs that fly around in Tucson at night. If that sounds like something you like, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get on into it. Okay, so first off, in these videos that you're going to be seeing, I filmed with this. So this is a night vision infrared binoculars, basically. They're night binoculars that have the ability to record in 4K. And if you guys are curious and you want to buy some of your own, I don't really recommend it. This was not a good product. At least for what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to film orbs that are really high in the sky. I mean, I was able to film them, but my buddy Jeff Woolwine has a pair that are really good. Like, you can zoom in and get these things really clear. And that's what I was hoping to do. But I mean, these are good. It says the viewing distance in 100% darkness is 150 to 200 meters. Digital zoom is 5 times. And the IR LED is a 3 watt, 850 nm, whatever that means, 7 levels. So there are 7 different levels of like brightness that you can use as far as shooting that infrared light out. Like I said, they're good. I just don't think they're good for catching stuff that's in the sky at far distances. Okay, so I mean, for 200 meters I was still able to capture these things, so there's no really telling how far away these orbs are. So maybe one of these days I'll have to get a rangefinder and find out, right? All right, so the first video we're gonna look at, so what I did with these videos is first I'm going to show you this video, which is just the raw footage of whatever I took. Don't mind the date and time at the bottom. It's August right now. I think I took these videos maybe 2 months ago, but I didn't set the date and time on this thing, so it's definitely wrong. It's definitely not 2021 when I took these videos. So but let's get to seeing some of these orbs. All right, so I don't think we see anything quite yet. I believe this is a plane. You could tell because it's blinking. So it's either a plane or a helicopter right there. But here you go. Here's that first orb. See, they appear out of nowhere. Right above this cursor is that first orb. All right, and that was just a bug that flew by. And I'm filming on the top of a parking garage here because it's really high up here in Tucson. So we got a lot of the city down here, city of Tucson. I'm pointed towards northwest-ish, towards Mount Lemmon and the Catalinas. I mean, and feel free to look at this yourself. I mean, you might see other orbs that maybe I didn't spot, but yeah, see right there, this is the northwest edge of the Catalinas or Mount Lemmon. Bam, here we go. There's one right there, nice bright one. That's a big one right there. Right above this cursor. I'm trying to follow it through the sky. That was a nice bright orb, and as you can see, they start to dim just like I showed you in the other videos that I filmed with my 4K camera. And then eventually, see, it's right in here. Eventually they start to dim, and then they just disappear. Goes another big one. Oh, yeah. All right, so that's the end of that one. So now I'm going to show you the same video, but what I did now is I messed around with like the brightness and the contrast. So what I did was I made the background, like the night sky, I made it darker so that maybe we could see the orbs and the stars and the lights more brighter. So there we go. There's our first two orbs. So hopefully this is, makes it easier to see some of the orbs. Right there. These two. Just following them along. And look, you can see one on the bottom right here. Look at it. It's slowly rising up. See it? There you go. There was that one. All right, so now this one, I again I messed around with the brightness and the contrast, made the background dark, but this time I zoomed in on the orbs. There we go. There's them zoomed in. That's it right there. There it goes. That's it right there. Right above my cursor. That's it. So that was the first video with multiple views. All right, here's the second video. All right, we got our two orbs right here. Right above my cursor. Right where I'm stopping. See that top one's fading away. All right, that's it for that one. And then here's that same video again with the contrast. The background is darkened. Hopefully bring out those lights better. And I zoomed in. There you go. Oh, and I also messed with the temperature, the color temperature, so you can see them more bright red. And as you'll see in other videos, these aren't planes, these aren't helicopters. You could tell the difference. And that's it right there. It just faded. Yeah, that's it for that. This is video number 3. And here we go. This is the raw footage of video number 3. See what we can find. There's one right there, right above my cursor. And just keep following it. And then here's another one right here. It's coming down right above my cursor. See that? And then there's another one right there flying across. Very faint on the top, but it's right above my cursor. And then this one's still coming down. Still going down. Right there. Right above my cursor. I mean, and you viewers at home too, if you're watching, you might find other ones on the screen somewhere that maybe I'm not pointing at, because there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot. All right, here's that same video, this time with the contrast, you know, the background darkened, and then I messed with the color temperature. I made it more like red, so the bright spots pop out more. You can see them better. Yeah, you see, here's that first one I think I was following. Yeah, right here. Right above my cursor. Right there. right, and I think that, yep, here comes that next one that's coming down. That went all the way down the screen. And then here's that other one coming across. Right above my cursor. Zooming across. You got this one still falling. Still coming down. And that other one's still zooming off over here under my cursor. I mean, these things are moving, man. For it to travel that distance that quickly, they're moving pretty quick. Okay, so here's my fourth video. Again, this is the raw footage first. There you go. We got an orb right there, right above my cursor. We got one right here. All right, it's floating on by. I mean, I even saw one over here over in this area just now. But yeah, like I said, if you look at this whole video, you might even find ones that I'm not pointing out. If you do, you know, let me know down in the comments. There's one right there. And you can tell which ones are stars. I mean, look, stars stay still. These move. These move around. They fly around. And they're still floating by right there. Right above my cursor. Right there. Don't really see any other ones right here at the bottom, floating by. Ah, right there. See, you could tell that's a plane down there. Easily, you could tell that's a plane. See how it's blinking? You can see the lights. So that's how you could tell between the difference between that, an orb, and a plane. Obviously, the plane's going to have, you know, the regulation flashing lights, red and green. These, when you see them with your naked eye, they actually look like a star, like a glowing star, big orb that just appear. And a lot of these you can't see with the naked eye. Only the really, really big, bright orbs you can see with the naked eye. But a lot of these orbs, I couldn't even see unless I was looking through with my infrared night vision binoculars. So, but they're there. You just can't see them with the naked eye. I don't know if that's like some sort of like cloaking that they can do, because you look up at the sky and you don't see nothing. But if I aimed the night vision, and sometimes you'll see a whole group of them there just flying around, floating around, yet you don't see them with the naked eye. So I don't know if that's some type of cloaking, or they are using a light that our eyes aren't sensitive enough to, that we can't process maybe. But here's that same video again with the contrast. This time I'm gonna zoom in on it, and I messed with the color temperature and made it red so the lights will pop. All right, so there you go, right there, right above my cursor. Right there. Right above my cursor. Where is it? Right, there it is. Right right there. Above my cursor. Again, this is zoomed in. Zoomed in with my editing software. Right here. Bam, and then it just disappears. Gone. Oh, there it is right there. All right, you guys ready for the grand finale? Because this is where I saw a whole group of them. Like a massive group of just orbs just flying around, communicating. It looked like they were communicating with each other, brightening, dimming, flat, almost like flashing at each other, getting close to each other. It's really cool to see, but yeah, so here's that group of orbs. Here's that raw footage. All right, there you go. There's one there, one there, one there, right there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Up here, 5, 6, right here, down here. And look at, they're all flying one direction. They're all going to the right. They're going east. East Tucson. There's one back here. Above my cursor. It's like 7. 7 of them I got in this one shot so far. There goes one right there. There's one right here. One right here. And I'm just following them. I'm just watching them go east. I watched them go so far east that I couldn't see them anymore. There's one right here, right above my cursor. There's one right here. I got one right here coming down. And there was a lot of them in this shot. And what else? And as you can see, I'm still turning the camera. I keep turning it more east, more to my right to follow them. And more just show up. We got one here. One up here. Yeah, we got one right here, just following it. Oop, one just came in on frame right here. And that's it. And now here's that same video with the contrast. So I basically made the night sky darker. Hopefully that the orbs and the lights will pop more. And I also sharpened it. So let's see. And the reason why I do that is, one, to see it better. So as you can look, you could see one right there and one right there. It looks, you can see them a lot easier than the gray background. It's so light. And then I sharpened the video to see if I can get like a shape. Can I get some sort of shape out of these things, right? And they just look like twinkling, like stars almost, you know? Look at that. One down here at the bottom, big one at the bottom. This one over here. Got a big one up top. And just look at them. One back here. All right, I'm just following this one here. There's one over here. There's one up top right there. This one's coming down. This one right here is flying across. We got one back here flying. We got one right here coming down. This one's coming down. The ones coming down freak me out the most because there's been times when I've been out there watching these things and I've seen them go down into the city. Like disappear into like the buildings. I'm like, what's going on? I got one right there, one right there. Got one flying right above my cursor. Hopefully you guys are viewing this on a big screen to actually see this. I don't know how it's going to turn out on the phone. I'm viewing it on a pretty big computer screen so I can see them pretty easy. Okay, so this next video, I didn't even notice this, all right? My girlfriend noticed this, all right? So I'm viewing the orbs. I told her to come here and look through it because I'm like, look, you can actually see them through the night vision, even though you can't see them with your eyes out there. So she came and looked, and then as I was following, she noticed something on the mountain. So let's take a look at this. Look at the mountain. All right, so here's an orb right there, right above my cursor. I think I was showing her that and just kind of following that. That's a plane. See, you can see it flashing. Right here, we're following this orb. Again, it's going east. All of these are going east. They're either going east or straight down. And I'm still following that one orb. Where is it? All right, right here. So that's one thing I noticed during this night's filming was they all went east. East or down. And look at where it's going. All right, I'm going to draw a straight line. Look at down to this. What is that on the mountain? That is huge. Okay, and look at this orb heading right towards it. All right. That thing, it looks small on video, but look at these ridge lines right here. That is like the size of a cliff face. Look at that orb. That's a bug. The orb went like towards it. Okay. So are these things coming out of this? Look at that. Look at this. Mountain is blank. There's nothing here anywhere on the mountain except right here. And that is huge. These are like houses and buildings down here, but I'm talking like on the top of this mountain. And look, it looks nothing like anything at the bottom. Right? It looks nothing. Look at it like flashing like the orbs, right? Kind of twinkling like the orbs. Look at lights down here don't twinkle. Look at that. And it's got like a blank middle, like a center, like an opening in the middle. Very bright ring. And it's a huge ring. I mean, look at that. That's a cliff. That's the side of like a cliff or something right there. That thing is huge. And the weird thing is, you can't see that with the naked eye. All right, we were looking, like I was looking at the mountain, couldn't see anything. Look through the binoculars. There's this almost like a portal. To me, it looked like a portal. Can't see it with the naked eye, but on the infrared, clear as day. Put down in the comments, what else could be up there on the top of that mountain that's nowhere else on that mountain. You saw it. I had a big, huge, wide shot of that mountain. There is nothing else up there making that kind of light, right? So what on a mountain, all right, viewers, let me know down in the comments, what on a mountain can you not see with the naked eye that's that bright, that huge, that you can see with infrared? What would be up there doing that? All right, and here's some just regular raw footage. This was after I noticed it. I just kind of focused the infrared camera on it. The infrared binoculars. All right, see, this is a plane up here where my cursor is. So you can tell the difference between an orb and a plane. Right, and I'm not here trying to be like, oh, everything's an orb. Look, that's an orb, that's an orb. No, that's a star, that's a star, that's a star, that's a plane. You know, you can tell the difference. And I let you know when something flies by. No, that's a bug. You know, these are just light artifacts. There's a street light above me, which sucks because it makes it kind of hard. But and that's why you see a lot of bugs flying by. But yeah, look at that right there. What is that? What could that be? That's a bug flying by. Because look at that light compared to the lights at the bottom. The lights at the bottom, those are homes, those are buildings. That's it for that. All right, here's the same video, but again, I messed with the contrast and I made basically the background darker so that the lights pop more. And I sharpened it up a bit to see if we can get like a shape. I don't know what that is. Like, it's literally on the mountain, like flat on the mountain. And that's huge. You look at the size of that light compared to the cliffs on that, the cliff faces and stuff on that mountain, the peaks on that mountain. It's huge. That is a lot of light. And it's like morphing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the lights down here at the bottom, you know, they stay the same shape. So look at the one on the mountain and then look at the lights at the bottom that are actually coming from like houses or buildings or like street lights, right? Kind of stays the same shape. Whereas that one's kind of like, it's the same circle shape, but it's like kind of like morphing. You know what I mean? Like putting off some kind of energy. All right, and here's raw footage, nothing messed with, but I zoomed in using my my editing software. Just zoomed in on it. That's what it looks like. But look at that. You see how it's like kind of morphing, keeping the same circular shape with the center opening, but this energy around that center opening, right? Look at that. It's just like morphing and like, you know, just putting off this crazy energy. Like it's not sustainable, like a solid light, you know, like the way the lights looked at the bottom. It's just constantly fluctuating, right? Possibly. But what's crazy to me is that center, that little opening in the middle. Look at that. Look at that. That opening in the middle distorts and gets bigger and smaller, moves around, right? Who knows what that is? It's times like that where I wish like I had some sort of device or plane where I can just fly over there and just like look at it, right? All right, so this next video is zoomed in. Again, I messed with the color temperature and then I put it in slow motion. Okay, so this is slow motion zoomed in, messed with the contrast of the background, right? And then I'll mess with the temperature, change the color to red, see if we could see it any better. But look at that. And again, this is on a cliff face of a mountain, right? Look at that. That is not a standard like light bulb or light coming from a building like we saw at the bottom. That is changing and morphing. All right, and this is a still image I took of it from the editing software. I just, captured a still from the footage. That's what it looks like. I don't know. If there's any video files out there or, somebody that can make out what this looks like in real life, without all the distortion, please let me know. Send a link. I also got Facebook, Instagram, Chris Evans 66. Same thing as my YouTube. You can find me on there. Send me pictures if you got them, videos. If you think you can figure out what that is. So here's again another still. I'm zooming in more, but this is with the contrast. The background darkened. That's it. That's the light. Look at that. That is weird. I don't know what that is. Like I said, if you guys find out, let me know. Facebook, Instagram, Chris Evans 66, or down in the comments. I'm studying this just like you guys are, man. That's gonna do it for this episode of the Xeno Files. If you want to see me to continue investigating these orbs here in Tucson, Arizona, let me know by leaving a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because you never know when we might get to the bottom of this. And I have a buddy, Jeff Woolwine, who's been studying this a lot. And one of my goals is to bring him on this channel, on this series, and explain to us what he has learned through studying this and studying UAPs and UFOs and other kind of phenomenon for over 20 years. If you guys want to see that, again, let me know down in the comments, also by hitting that like button. I'll find a way to bring him on. Thank you guys for joining me once again, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Xeno Files.